From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop CFB PrimeTime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles. And you know, today is Thursday, so we got some time with him today. None other than the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson, is with us today. I always have to fix he's in the building with us because he's not. As you guys can see, he's sitting in Boston Garden right now at the top deck, you know what I mean, looking at some people who roll up some blunts and all that good stuff, and you know, sneak some other drugs into the stadium and other privileges. He might be seeing somebody up in there going half on a baby. You never know. Jeff, how you doing today, brother? How's everything going?
As you'd say, feeling good, feeling great. It's Thursday. We've survived another week. Some NFL, some college hoops, getting ready for championship week. Tomorrow we turn the calendar. It's December 1st. You and I have been talking about this week to week. You know, I remember our weekly shows at the All-Star break, talking about the Dodgers and talking about, you know, who's going to win the NL West, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The kickoff of football, and now here we are tomorrow, December 1st, an in-game tournament with the Celtics, needing to win by 23 the other night, and Hacker Drummond in the fourth quarter up by 30, and Billy Donovan going crazy. But fun week, and we're here and got ourselves an hour here with you, so excited to talk some sports.
All right, sounds good, brother. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into it, man. We got CFB Championship week. We got the Power 5 and we got the non-Power 5. All right, what do they call them? The mid-5, the other 5? I call them the mid-5. You know what I mean? Because they're all mid-majors and stuff like that. But nowadays, when you look at these mid-majors, they're starting to not even be mid-majors anymore, man. When you look at Conference USA might have took its biggest step back ever, in my opinion. They have no original member there anymore. They're running with teams that are fresh into FBS. But they're legendary FCS schools. You know what I mean? Jacksonville State was pretty good on the other side. James Madison, come on, James Madison is 20 years overdue. You would think James Madison would have been here well before a bunch of teams in the Division I, because, dude, if you're familiar with James Madison in the old Colonial when it was them, Old Dominion, George Mason. I'm thinking about Richmond was a part of this group as well too, and they used to be the school that used to always upset the big schools in the tournament. The classic.
When you said ODU, wasn't La Tech in there too?
No, La Tech wasn't in the Colonial. Colonial was all the Virginia and Maryland and schools that got left out. You know, Davidson was a member of the old Colonial as well, too, but they were a bottom feeder. So, you know, all the North Carolina, South Carolina, all those smaller schools in that area that used to make up the Colonial right there, the DMV, pretty much. You know what I mean? But, man, the old Colonial used to provide a lot of suspense. And old George Washington was the first team that jumped. They went to the A-10.
Mr. Jarvis, I was a big fan of George Washington back in that day. He looked like Uncle Phil. But I got my purple on that. James Madison, great story. You know, the funny thing that has not been brought up though is the fact of the matter is again, there's going to be one or two teams outside looking in to the Final Four on Tuesday, depending upon if we have any train wrecks on Saturday. But my point is, these other bowl games that are going on, even though it's championship week and a handful of these teams are going to be champions, if you took the final 12, the top 12 right now, because we're going to a 12 team system next year. If I'm looking here, even Iowa's in the championship, they wouldn't be in. Louisville, Florida State, they'd both be in. But App State, Troy wouldn't be in. Obviously, Georgia and Alabama both would be in. SMU, Tulane, I don't think either one of those would be sneaking in. Boise State, UNLV, no. So even though we're having championship week, none of those teams, Miami or Toledo, would even be in with the win and the championship anyways.
And another crazy thing is, peep this, whoever loses the SEC championship would easily would possibly be the reason why LSU would sneak in as the 12 seed, because they're number 13 right now. And so pretty much I think we still got a mess on our hands, Jeff. I'm going to keep it real with you. Because at the end of the day, like I keep saying, I said, now you just over here, now you dipping into what the FCS is doing. And the FCS does a playoff for a reason, because they know that this is the best way to maximize their smaller revenue. College football has already been paid for with all these bowl games. Come on, man, you're getting $5-6 million, and now we're going to have to sacrifice that because now we've taken TV money. And so now we have to make sure the TV is intact and they have everything that they want. And I just don't like the idea of it, because at the end of the day, there's never been a major upset when it really comes down to it. You know what I mean? The upsets come from these great bowl games. Every upset you ever seen a number one team have was in these bowl games. It wasn't when they were running around trying to win the CFP and the FC and the what was the FB? What do we use? BCS? The BCS. God damn, the BCS been going so long, I forgot what to call it, because the BCS was literally that. The BCS they used to let us see the numbers. They kind of let us act like we were voting in the fourth team, but the committee always skewed the numbers. Now you got a private committee that picks the 4 they truly want, that are going to maximize the TV dollars, not maximize the competition. You know what I mean? I used to love the fact that you could go into the Orange Bowl and Nebraska, number 1 team in the nation, going against the number 4 team in the nation or something of that nature. And this is going to be a tough game. This isn't going to be a walk in the park, because this team thinks that they should be number 1 as well too. Hey, number 4 winds up beating you, they jump right to number 1 because they beat you in the bowl game. They beat the best team in the nation, so they get the righteous pass to get it. I think that what happened with bowl games is that at the aftermath of it, you felt like the AP was playing favorites too much, but you're not playing favorites when you know who the exact number 1 team in the nation was. I think
I have to say, you hit a chord here, because I go way, way back, and your listeners won't even remember this. You'll have to Google this. Undefeated Nebraska, 14.5-point favorites with Irvin Fryer, played Miami with Schellenberger, and Irvin Fryer dropped the winning touchdown, and Miami won. And Miami beat them. And there's what you said happened. Miami, the best team, the number 1 team in the country. But if you ask the true people, Miami was the best team that day due to sloppiness from Nebraska. But if you took a poll on who was the best team in the country, Nebraska still was the best team in the country. But on that day, and Miami got awarded the number 1 for that year.
And I'm just going to finish with this. You know what? And we used to not deal, and being undefeated, you had to be really good, because I'm going to keep it real with you. 80s, 90s, 70s, you didn't pay people to play you. You just didn't. You would go and play a tough game. Call UCLA on over to Florida, to Nebraska. Call USC on over here to Alabama, because we're going to have us a real game, so then we can really look good for the voters. Now, okay, let's bring in Cupcake 1, 2, and 3, and then, this team is dominant. They're one of the best, and then Ohio State gets the number 1 spot because they played Notre Dame. Come on. Think about it, because they scheduled something real. Alabama, I give them credit because they scheduled something real within the first 4 weeks of the season. It's not going to be us playing against Cornell State. We'll line it up with Texas. We'll line it up with USC. We'll line it up in the kickoff game. But Georgia, I can't give them the same prop. Georgia, every week I look up, you're playing a bad SEC team. Then you're playing a Wichita Falls State. It's just, dude. And then they get into trouble when they really play against elite teams like Ohio State last year. If Ohio State doesn't miss the field goal, we don't have a big blowout in the national. Well, yeah, Ohio State was going to blow out TCU as well, too, because they had no business being there. But, yeah, they got their miracle win. But just look at the situation. TCU could have just went away, got their big win against Michigan, and they walk on down the road. And they don't get embarrassed. Then we play the real national championship with Georgia and Ohio State, and Georgia wins, and we move on. Just end the season already. It doesn't look good anymore. It used to be the best when it was like, okay, these are the final games of college football of the year, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And then you come out and you want to do this extra 7-day stuff. By the time you get to that 7th day, everybody's just like, oh, man, I'm so tired of college football. And then what happens? The number one team absolutely obliterates this little school right here, and we just wasted a Monday. And then we're sitting up in here and we getting our best games from teams that are in the same conference. Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, LSU, Alabama. And, it's just like, okay, we just did this in the conference title game. What's the point of doing all this? But but they'll learn. They'll learn eventually. You know what I mean? We'll see. But first game up, because we can do this all day. First game up is ACC Championship game. We got Louisville 10-2, Florida State 12-0, over under 47.5, and we got a 2.5 point spread. Jeff, what are you thinking with this game right here, and where are you going with this one?
I feel for Florida State. Even before Jordan Travis got hurt, the committees were already trying to figure out how are we not going to get an undefeated Florida State team. How are we going to very nicely leave them out? An ACC champ, an ACC team that was undefeated throughout the whole year. People forget opening day, Florida State beat LSU. Close first half, pummeled them in the second half. And then they went to Clemson, Death Valley, and won. Okay. So now Jordan gets hurt. And you know what? They struggled early after he got hurt, and then they had a great second half. And then they struggled a little against Florida, then they beat them down. And now the whole world is on Louisville. The line is 2.5. And it doesn't – I'm just going to say this outright. Even if Florida State wins this game, I still think even though they'll be undefeated, the committee will find a way, especially if Bama beats Georgia. They'll take a one-loss SEC team named Georgia, winners of 30 in a row, two-time defending champ. They will take them over Florida State because they don't have Jordan Travis. Whole world is on Louisville. If I had to play this game, I'd take Florida State money line minus the 135 or whatever it is right now. I think they find a way to beat this Louisville team, and then they got to pray for the committee on Tuesday, Pops.
All right, look, man, and I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm with you on that because, see, people don't understand Florida State. Florida State is an elite. They're a blue blood of college football. I know it's been a long time with Florida State and everything like that, but we know Florida State. Come on, man. They had a 30-year run in the ACC of just absolute dominance. Okay, their run lasted longer than Miami's. Okay, and we come from the days where your fifth-year seniors were all over the place at Florida State. They didn't have this freshman phenom BS that all these bad schools have to do now. You know what I mean? Oh, we promised the kid the world, so now we got to start him. No, you could be the best quarterback in the United States of America coming into Florida State your freshman year. You're not the starter, bud. You're going to be behind the fifth year and the fourth year and the third year. Wait your turn or outplay these guys. Well, I'm saying this because we know Florida State has a serviceable backup. Because if they didn't, they would have lost. He's been in the game plenty of times behind Jordan Travis. And that's one thing that people have to understand. Florida State is the best team in the ACC. The quarterback really does not matter at the end of the day. Jordan Travis is a great quarterback, but he's not a phenomenal quarterback. So So you can plug in a guy for a few games. You'll be fine. And I say to myself, don't do Florida State like that. Florida State beat LSU. And you know what? You didn't have to you guys already made the mistake with TCU last year. TCU, great, good for them, but they had no business being in the Final Four. Keep it real. That was a big slap in the face to Kansas State. Kansas State absolutely won that game. There was no fluky dookie, nothing to it but to do it. And you know, they what did they get, Jeff? What, the Poinsettia Bowl or something? You know what I mean? And you know, you wilted to the pressure, and you could have just snuck in Alabama again, and we would have been fine with that because we knew Alabama would have been competitive. But TCU was able to answer the call because Michigan got killed. Harbaugh starting to do things he ain't never done before with Michigan, and it messed him up. So now this year, we got a blue blood back in the mix. If they go undefeated, just like what you do with Notre Dame, they don't miss the Final Four. Don't do them like that. What happens here to me, Jeff, the scenario I've been looking at is this. What if Michigan loses? What happens with Michigan? What if Georgia loses their game, or what if Alabama loses their game? What happens if because Washington loses, I think that puts Texas in, right? And if when you get Florida State to lose, that will get you Alabama in. But they may do Texas dirty because what happened to TCU last year? They may look at the week 3 game as, oh, that was just some lucky stuff that the Texas got away with. Because if they play this game again, Alabama beats them by 14 or better.
You know, I'll say this, Pups. I'll interject here. If Georgia beats Alabama, Alabama's out. If Michigan wins, Michigan's in. The winner of the Pac-12 is in. The Georgia beating Alabama, what that allows the committee now to do is to decide a one-loss Texas team, assuming they win the Big 12, versus an undefeated Florida State team. That will be the decision right there if Georgia beats Alabama and if Michigan wins, because the Pac-12 is in. The winner of the Oregon-Washington, if Washington wins, they're undefeated, they're in. If Oregon beats Washington, I think they're in. So then the committee will have to decide a one-loss Texas Big 12 champ versus an undefeated ACC without their starting quarterback, and the fact that Texas does have a win at Tuscaloosa in week 4.
Well, it all makes sense. It looks like that we're a consensus here. I like Florida State in this spot as well, too. But it would be a great moment in time if Louisville won, because they came from the depths of pretty much damn near being in the basement for the next decade, and now they're sitting right here in the ACC Championship. But the sad part for them is they play on the side of the conference where they rotate who's going to play in the championship game. So we've dealt with Duke being in the spot before, and who was another really bad ACC team that made it to Virginia's been in the spot before. So it's like it's the ACC, man, and I think they might have became one of the more worthless title games. I think that the outright number one team should always be just the winner, and we move along here in the ACC, because the ACC is pretty much, what's going to happen. You know what I mean? You just know what's going to happen. Whoever the better team is, they're going to win by 3 touchdowns or better. It's really that simple. So, but this is a different type of game because the starter's not there, blah, 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 blah. But I think that this is going to be the get-back game for Florida State. So I'm going Florida State here as well, too. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I'm going to keep it real, Jeff. I love Oklahoma State this year, and I think that they're about to send Texas home with a part. They're about to send Texas to the SEC with a parting gift. I'm telling you, because I just think of James Brown about how Oklahoma State's approach been about Oklahoma and Texas this year. Revenge. You leaving me? You leaving me here in the Big 12, knowing how you got as much money as you do, and you're going to leave me here? You're not going to do what UCLA and USC did, Washington, Oregon did. You're just not going to take your little buddy with you. You know, we Bedlam. We Oklahoma's rival. You know, you guys over here breaking up the conference, messing it up. Now it's a wide open conference. It ain't no more Texas and Oklahoma to have the excuse of being the most dominant team, because when Arizona pulls up, when Arizona State pulls up, Utah pulls up, Colorado pulls up, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna get real tough in this conference, and that goes for basketball too. So you know, pretty much what I'm seeing here, I think that Oklahoma State gets the big payback right here. They're going to get it, Jeff, and they're going to wind up winning this game. I love the 15.5 here in this spot. And give me, I don't have it right in front of me, and I know you have it in front of you. What's the money line for this game?
I don't have. I'll get it for you. As you know, this game here. Let me pull it up for you. Give me 1 second.
Go ahead. Explain the game. I'll pull it up. Plus 5-1 plus 475. I'm seeing on Bovada. So give me that. I'll take that plus 475. Really, I'll take the 5-1, and I'll walk on down the road. You know, I'm trying to explain to people, you can't play when you want to be a big boy in this game. You can't be playing favorites. You might have to just do something oddball, you know? And I tell people all the time, just like I say, Jeff, you see me say it all the time. I said, man, you see a 50-1 at the track, just put $2 on them. Oh, damn, I done lost the man. All right, well, we done lost Jeff. So I'll take over until he comes back. But pretty much we'll come back to the game once he gets back to us, because he had to leave. He didn't have to leave, but something technical issues right now. So let's move forward to the Big Ten title game. This is a good one right here. You got number 2 Michigan. You got Iowa number 16, 22.5 point spread, 35.5 points here as well too. So this one could be a game that winds up being okay. I'm getting messages from Jeff, so hopefully he can get back in here. He didn't hear me when I said plus 475. So pretty much that's where we're at with this one. Okay, so Jeff's computer's restarting right now, so he'll be back as soon as it's complete. So pretty much with this game right here, Michigan looks like a for sure lock to win this game. So I think what you do here is you go ahead and you say to yourself that, you know, pretty much you can just take Michigan to the bank. I want to do some things with Iowa here, but I just don't trust Iowa. Iowa doesn't score enough points. They play great defense, but their defense can be really exposed as well too. You know that the run game is going to be very crucial to this game as well too. So pretty much with that, we'll go ahead and we'll take Michigan in the spot. And with that, we go ahead and we move forward from there. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, and when I get back, we'll do the rest of the championship games. But I'll be right back to you guys. So stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. So let's go ahead and jump into the Pac-12 title game. The Pac-12 title game, we got the number 5 Oregon, 11-1. We got Washington, 13-0. Over under 65.5 plus 9.5 here as well too. And Washington and Oregon, good game here, great game here, best game of the week. You got number 5 Oregon. You got number 3 Washington. They've already played. Washington was able to hold on, even though Oregon looked like they were going to win that game at so many twists and turns of it. They still wound up dropping the game to Washington. Washington got their biggest win of the season that day. Washington got another big win last week in the Apple Cup because they were on the verge of losing that game as well too. Washington State played them to an absolute, draw somewhat, but it just wasn't enough there in the end. So now we got the Pac-12 championship that pretty much everybody clued in after the collapse of USC. And when I look at this game, I just tell myself, I think that Cinderella's is leaving the ball. And that's what I mean with Washington. Washington's been a good team all season, but Washington did play some cupcake teams this year as well. They didn't really play a major team this year. They beat up on a lowly Michigan State team. So I feel like Oregon's actually played a lot better, and they've actually done better against better. They absolutely scorched USC. Washington had some real issues with the USC. So things work out in different ways and things of that nature. But all in all, though, I do like Oregon in the spot. I don't like the 9 here, but I'll take it because Pac-12 games usually do wind up being double-digit games. They never wind up being very close, but I don't know. I might change my mind before kickoff because this could be the moment that Washington needed to become that team. So pretty much with that, that's going to be how we're looking at that game right there, plus 9.5. And while I'm trying to kind of procrastinate trying to get Jeff back in, but most likely he'll probably not be joining us until here he goes. So we got him back. So there he is. Add to the stage. So it's all good, man. I was on the Big Ten title game and all that good stuff. But break it down for us here. What are you thinking here, Jeff? And do you think that Washington does have a chance? And do you think that they are absolutely tripping when they give you this number? Because, dude, this team is undefeated as a plus 9.5, dog. And that's really like cause for a big monster bet on a dog. It's just to say, you know what, let's do it. Because they already beat them. But what's the issue with Washington being this high? Because somebody got to be hurt. That's the reason why they're doing this.
No, it's not. In August, we gave out Washington to win the Pac-12. We gave out them to shock the world to get to the Final Four. We loved Penix. We loved their offense. We loved their defense. Go back a month ago, 5 weeks ago. The fact is, it was a nail biter in Washington, a game that Oregon had numerous opportunities to win, and they fell short. The numbers inflated. There's no doubt the numbers inflated. My true number on this game was an 8.5, and the under over 67.5. Now 10 at 66. Bo Nix, the favorite to win the Heisman, style points. Washington was leaking oil. A couple games after the Oregon game, they found ways to win. Then they go to USC. They put up a 50 burger. They've stopped the bleeding. They went to Oregon State as dogs and won in a wet track. I think this is Oregon early and often. I think it's style points, but I think the number's wrong. It really is. Would I be shocked if Oregon won by double digits? No, I wouldn't. If they won by 1 point, I don't know if they would get in. A one-loss Pac-12 champ just coming off a 1-point win. I think they know deep down that they got to win and win convincingly. That's why the number is 9.5, Pops. I have no problem people taking Washington. I have no problem people taking Washington in that money line as well. But I think deep down, this is all about Bo Nix. This is all about not just winning the Heisman, but winning the Pac-12 convincingly. And unfortunately, I'm on Oregon here, but listen, nothing would shock me here, Pops.
Hey, it's the Pac-12, and you know what? If anybody ever shocks the system in a championship game, it's the Pac-12. We've came to know that over the years. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to retract a little bit because we did have some we were talking Big 12 before you got off. What are your thoughts on this game real quick? And do you think I'm kind of crazy if I'm riding with the old Cowboys to go ahead and get one more FU to these two teams that are leaving them? Just feel bad for Oklahoma State because, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Another inflated line. I sent you the snapshot from Circa. Texas is minus 16. Under over a 55. They're telling you they don't expect Oklahoma State probably, 31-14 is 47. I mean, they don't expect Oklahoma State to score more than 17 points. They expect Texas to score well into the 30s. Again, another team that needs to win and win with style points. Ohio State doesn't play this week. So Texas wins convincingly. Now they're hoping Georgia wins. They need someone. If Alabama beats Georgia, then Texas is probably out because I think they'll find a way to get Georgia in there as well. So I like Texas early and often. The problem here, Pops, is the ineffectiveness of Texas in the red zone. I think I heard last night they've had like 55 opportunities with only 25 touchdowns. If you're laying 15.5 or 16, every time you're in the red zone, you need touchdowns. So Vegas is telling us that they're going to score a lot of touchdowns. If I was to play this game, I would just look at the Texas team total here. I'm not going to lay the 15.5 and 16. I do think they win. That's a huge, huge number, especially with an Oklahoma State team that can run the crap out of the ball, Pop. So if you like Oklahoma State, you're going out with a bang, just like with the Washington Huskies, Pops.
Yeah, man, that's how I feel. But before you came back, I just said the number was big. I think that Oregon's probably going to beat them by double digits when it comes to that game. But this game right here, the reason why I'm doing this is because I feel like Oklahoma State wants to send a message to both Texas and Oklahoma. Don't leave home if you ain't ready to leave home. You know what I mean? Don't leave a great competitor behind. And Oklahoma State is furious that they losing Oklahoma because the Bedlam rivalry to them they feel is bigger than any rivalry that Oklahoma has with Texas. That's just interstate stuff. That's state stuff. But this right here is like holy war between those two teams. So I think Oklahoma State wants to have a big victory of beating both these teams before they leave their conference. But I keep saying, don't worry, Oklahoma State. You're going to get the call soon. Don't worry, because it seems like the SEC, keep it real. SEC's kicking some teams out. They're kicking some people out. Let's keep it real. And,
can you just imagine this Oklahoma team in the SEC? It's just another version of Ole Miss. I go back to that Ole Miss LSU game. LSU put up a 50 burger and still lost. Ole Miss put up 55. Texas is feeling real, proud because they went to Tuscaloosa and finally beat them. They have a full season of the SEC. Texas will be 8-4, 7-5. I mean, Oklahoma can't stop a nosebleed. Yeah, they can score. They can score in the Big 12. They can score out of conference. When you're playing the Alabamas, the LSUs, the Texas A&Ms, week in, week out, the Tennessees of the world, I'm sorry. I know it's all about money, but the grass isn't always greener, and it's not all about money. All right. And you, as you said, you're killing the rivalries. Every Friday, Ron comes on from LA, and he's talking about, he went to Oregon State a million years ago, talking about those rivalries. They're gone. They're dead. It's the Pac-2 now. And the quarterback from Oregon State in the transfer portal, he just left Clemson a year ago. The head coach from Oregon State now flexing. It's sad how greed is taken over college sports. It really is, because all those people that bitched and complained that the kids weren't getting paid, well, now they're getting paid. Matt Rule comes on to his presser from Nebraska and says, oh, by the way, you want a quarterback in the portal? It costs $1.5 million to $2 million. Yeah, that's the price. And now all the alum are like, well, I didn't think it was that much. That's what it costs to get a real quarterback nowadays. So the game has changed, and it's sad.
Right. And you know what? I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on that, because I really feel like a lot of these guys don't deserve the money. I saw a guy who plays for UCLA. He's the sixth stringer, Jeff. And he's talking about, well, you know, I'm NIL and my NIL money. Bro, you haven't even seen the field, dog. Like, literally, you took these people's money and you already have a scholarship. What the fuck? Come on, dude. And you got parents. Jeff has 2 daughters. One just got through to school. He's paying now on the next one. Do you think people like Jeff like that type of shit? No, they don't. Because you're silly, your quarterback, 2.5 GPA, is getting a free ride and $2 million to lose 7 games. We've lost our mind. Dude, Dave Gavitt said this back in the 80s. Fellas, just eat dinner, but don't take the chandeliers. They done cleaned the whole room out, Jeff. And now they're stuck with the TV controlling the outcomes of what's going to happen. Because now they are the reason why you can pay these players. Because the school wouldn't do it. And we both know this. The school would say, you know what, kid, you're great, but move on. We can't do that for you. Because we got a biologist that can actually affect the world sitting over here in our science program. All you do is entertain people. And see, now they had to pay him so they could show y'all how stupid it is. Because people don't understand this. When they first started college football, they did pay the players. You know, they used to pay ringers. They didn't go to school. Navy was the best team in college football because they had the strongest men. And those guys was getting money. They was already getting paid their little money for being in the service. And what happened with that situation? These guys start having to go to war. They got to go here. They got to go there. They start having different things, different ideas. And then they said to themselves, you know, schools that ain't the armies and navies of the world, they can't be paid because this is a problem here, because it's a recruiting problem. And then you got these guys who ruined their chance at the NFL because they chased NIL money to go play for South Carolina. And really, they should have went to Arizona because the kid grew up here. He grew up in Arizona. Why would you go to South Carolina, Oklahoma, these places where you don't fit at? You could have went to Arizona State. You're already in the NFL. You're a state legend. And see, this is where USC's having their problem at because they're not bringing anybody from the state of California no more either. Because and how do you have all this NIL money and you're not getting the top players from California?
We go way back, you and I, in that movie. I'm brain dead. 80s or 90s when Blue Chips came out with Nick Nolte, Shaq Penny, and everyone laughed about the hick from the Midwest getting the John Deere tractor trailer. And you look at it today where they were complaining the kids weren't getting paid. Well, some of these kids were already getting paid. But the fact of the matter is, you just said it correctly. My daughter graduated UCONN 2 years ago now. That cost me 160 large. Okay. My youngest daughter now is in her second semester, her second year. Okay. She's already in for 35, almost 40. Okay. The degree now is meaningless in sports. It's who's giving me the most money. And it doesn't matter. That paper does not matter anymore. It's how much can I extract from the colleges while I'm in there and hope that I make it to the NBA, the NFL. Okay. They're just making a mockery of what we already know, where a college degree and that piece of paper is useless, and they're just making a mockery of it, Pops.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm just going to end it with this, and we'll jump into the SEC title game. Look, they were talking about, Marvin Harrison is talking about staying another year because, he has things he wants to accomplish at Ohio State. He wants to get to Indianapolis, and he wants to get a national championship. And you know why he can do all this? Because he's already rich. His father is very wealthy. He has a bank account that he's had since he was 13 years old with a great amount of money in it. Maybe the kid might want to stick around and get his education. Maybe he might want to go get a degree. The NFL is not for long, but education is forever. The NFL ain't going nowhere. Okay, if you don't come out this year and comes out the next year, it doesn't really matter. Oh, your team didn't get him? Stop worrying about yourself so much. You know what I mean? It's Marvin's decision, not yours. And I wouldn't say he was stupid to do it because this is real college football. None of them are ready after their junior year most times, unless they are a super freak. If you can't handle a checkbook, you can't handle the NFL. You can't handle the NBA. You can't handle the MLB. And a lot of these people don't get that part. Shaq's mother was great with him. Shaq's mom said, you know what? If you can balance this checkbook, I'll let you go to the NBA. Shaq couldn't balance nothing. Okay, back to college. Came back the next year. They did the same thing over again. He balanced the checkbook out. They said, go call the agent. It's that simple. But with that, we're going to go ahead, jump into this SEC real quick. We're going to just roll through because we only got so much more time with Jeff. So SEC title game. Golly, man, I didn't jump all the way off the skids. But you know what? The people want to hear stuff like this. So it's all good. It's all good. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, everybody thought NIL was going to be the most beautiful thing in the world. And wasn't I the first person telling you, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And everything that's happened, I said was going to happen. If we want to have, you know what? If you guys want to really just go straight to the NFL and all that stuff, go play in the XFL and the USFL. Go play in that league real quick and then have those guys tear your ass up real fast. And then you'll understand why college is for you at this point. You know what I mean? A guy that ain't got nothing who's trying to get to the NFL. Then you're going to see that you being the best player in the state of Wisconsin does not matter in the grand scheme of things. It don't. Where does the best player in Massachusetts, where does Mr. Football go in Massachusetts? The UMass. Where does right. He goes to UMass. Where does Mr. Football from New Hampshire go? To New Hampshire University.
UNA.
Where does he go? Central Connecticut State. So come on, man. Everybody's not a superstar, dude. But your thoughts? Who do you like in this game? I can already sense who you like in this game, really, pretty much. But where are we going in this game, Jeff?
2 years ago, these two matched up, an undefeated Georgia team and a one-loss Alabama team, and the writing was on the wall that year. Georgia, you win, lose, or draw, you're still going to make the Final Four. Alabama, with the one loss, had to win to be in. Competitive first half. In my eyes, Georgia didn't open up the full playbook. Alabama wins that game. They both get to the Final Four, and that was the start of the Georgia run that they're currently in now. Two-time defending champ, 30 wins in a row. The look-ahead line a couple weeks ago was Georgia -3. Well, now we're already up to Georgia -6. I have an under-over of 56, now at 54.5, and 5 right now at the Circa in Las Vegas as we speak. I like the bounce back Alabama had after the Week 4 loss to Texas. The quarterback Milroe has finally evolved. The defense is getting stronger. But yet, this Georgia team has got healthier. Brock Bowers is back. McConkey's back. Beck has now taken that next step. And over a 54.5. My initial thought was the first 1-30 wins this game. I think that will be the Georgia side. I think you're going to get a very competitive first half. I think Georgia, as long as they contain Jalen Milroe. In other words, if he doesn't turn into C.J. Stroud 2.0, like in the semifinal game last year, and they contain him and he's not running wild, I think this is Georgia. I gun to my head here, I got this at that 31-21. I think, field goal lead by Georgia, late touchdown. I like Georgia here. I wouldn't be shocked, obviously, if Alabama won. Then there would be some real, does Georgia get in? Yada, yada, yada. I don't see it happening. Georgia 31-21 Pops.
All right. So I like that thinking, man. I do. And you know what? I'm not convinced with Alabama this year. I think Alabama, this is one of their lower tier teams over the years, because there's a lot of flaws with this team. And I feel like this is the first. This Alabama team is not good enough to say beat Oregon. They're not good enough to beat. Well, before Travis went out, they might have not have been good enough to beat Florida State this year. They might have not have been good enough to beat. Who else do I want to throw in here?
Michigan,
Ohio State, Michigan as well too. I feel like all the top 4 teams could beat them at this point, except for possibly Washington. The Pac-12 schools always have an issue. But I would say if one of them out the Pac-12 schools that could compete, it would be Oregon. And you look at Ohio State and Michigan, they house Alabama this year because they're just that much more tougher than Alabama this year. Alabama is another school that's dealing with the NIL problem because Saban wants everybody to still be, football is my life. But when you got the car dealership down the street handing everybody a brand new car, then it takes away my motivation. And you see that now we got the angry old man, just like your boy in Boston now, in New England. Angry old man, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick. They both going through it because now they too old for the game. Because they don't like that stuff. Coaches like Saban, they don't like that stuff. They don't like players having gifts and trinkets and things like that without really earning it. It sucks when you see a 4th-string cornerback who's an absolute just garbage show when you throw him in the game, and he's sitting over here driving in a brand new a car better than yours because there were so many promises made because he was Mr. Football over in North Dakota. So, so there's so many promises made so he could avoid going to North Dakota to be your 4th-string corner, and it's just a joke. And so pretty much Alabama, I just don't see, they're not good enough this year. They're just not. And when you have to go life and death with South Florida, yeah, you got a big issue here. And Milroe is a slow starter. And I think that's going to be the difference in the game at the end of the day. And Georgia winning by 7 points does not really surprise me. It can happen because their defense is just lock them up, throw away the key, and cut out the lights. That's it, and that's all. Once they figure it out, you're a wrap. You're done. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and that's going to be a really, really – go ahead.
Pops, I'll just end with this. If you asked Alabama and Nick Saban after the loss to Texas, get us to this point where we don't lose another game, get us to this point against an undefeated Georgia, get us to this point where we win and we're in, he would have signed up for it. And I think, as you said very nicely, Georgia will figure out the deficiencies this year in the Alabama defense. They'll find the deficiencies in the Alabama offense. Now, again, Milrose can really flip this upside down if he's moving the chains and they're blitzing and they're rushing 5 And the fact he's getting out of the pocket and running for first downs. So keep him in that pocket, make him beat you with his arm, which again, he's not Tua, he's not Jalen Hurts, he's not CJ Stroud. I think the defense and will end up being the strong point and the tipping point for a Georgia 7, 10, 12, 14-point victory.
All right. So you know what? I'm gonna get into a team that's near and dear to Jeff and near and dear to all of us, pretty much, and that's gonna be because we gotta get into what we love because we like football, but we hoop guys, man. You know what I mean? Jeff knows all them cold winters in the gym. You know what I mean? Same California gym, outdoors, wherever. You know what I mean? But basketball is life in Massachusetts and California. So pretty much Big East, Big 12 challenge. Man, these are some good groups in this situation right now too. Jeff, I like the fact that we're doing this, that we're not wasting too much time with Central Connecticut State versus UConn and UMKC versus Kansas, where now we get these big featured matchups. So we got number 4, number 5 going at it. And what are your thoughts on this one? And who do you feel like is gonna win this game? And Jeff, you got to be a little fair to both sides.
Yeah, any one of your watchers and listeners that don't know, 2 daughters went to UConn, 1 graduate, 1 second year. I live 2.5 hours away from Stores and about 3.25 to Hartford. My daughter, my oldest, Caitlin, got me to get season tickets, even though I was 2.5 hours away and sometimes 3.5. I purchased them 4 years in a row. 1 year, of course, stuck with COVID there. But my point is I gave a lot of the tickets away. But when I did attend the home games at Stores, I was center court, 10 rows from the stadium. I'm a former Division III women's basketball coach. I eat, sleep, drink, gym rat. I love basketball. With that said, the defending champ UConn Huskies have the longest winning streak going back to last year, currently in the NCAAs of 13 winners in a row. What I really like about not just this matchup is before we start the Big East play, after this game, we got a game with North Carolina, who just put up 100 against Tennessee. We play Gonzaga as well in between, like Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and then we go into Big East play. Ken Pomeroy has this game, Kansas winning by 1. Now, if I remember correctly, Pops, Kansas only lost this year was to Kentucky, who looks pretty damn good as well this year. This is at Kansas. I haven't seen the look-ahead spread. I think Kansas will be 1.5, 2-point favorites, 2.5 maybe. I think Kansas finds a way to stop the streak here. I just think Kansas is one of these preseason cutting the nets down. They're loaded. They got Dickerson from Michigan that will be able to clog up the middle. UConn's still not at 100%. They're missing a player or two. I think the streak stops. Obviously, I'm rooting for UConn, Pops. You know that. But I think Kansas gets them in one of those hard-fought 80-79, 80-78 games. Must-watch TV tomorrow, though, Pops.
Hey, you know what? This game to me does present an element that these are possible teams that we'll see in these are possible teams we'll see for the Final Four. And we thought that we were going to get the UConn Kansas matchup last year, but Kansas didn't get the memo. The toughest, that's the toughest region I've ever seen in college basketball. That region that they tried to set up last year with UConn, Kansas, UCLA, and Gonzaga. But I really felt like they did slight UCLA a little bit last year. UCLA should have been the number 1 seed in the East, and they should have played Fairleigh Dickinson. Now, I know that they just wanted to let Adney be the number 1 seed because he's a star, but Purdue wasn't a number 1 seeded team. That's the problem. Because come on, dude, they lost twice to Rutgers last year. I know Rutgers is better, but damn, you lost twice to Rutgers, bro. And really, I think go ahead.
And the sad part about that is you're 100% correct. But they were given the big guy, the player of the year. They were given the Pac-10, the Big Ten, their dues. And it's almost one of these, hey, UCLA, we're not going to give you the 1 seed and send you out east. We're going to do something better. We're going to keep you home and give you the 2 seed. Well, they put them in, the death row bracket of hell there. I mean, you had 4 teams that easily could have cut the nets down. So obviously the 1 seed back east would have been a lot better than the 2 seed out west against those 4. And it was I was a big UCLA fan last year. I thought they had the makings of what UConn did there. So it was definitely you're 100% spot on, Pups.
Right. And I know Jeff don't want to hear this, but Jeff knows that UCLA was the only threat to UConn last year because Gonzaga won on some flimsy stuff because UCLA decided to just take a crap the last 15 minutes of the game. UCLA had that game in hand, should have won by 20 and been getting ready for UConn. But no, Tiger wants to get cute and Jaime wants to get cute. And who else was getting too cute out there? Bona gets into foul trouble. It just got dumb. You know what I mean? And you could see the comeback coming because UCLA got too cute. I said, how y'all going to get too pretty with Cronin over on the sideline? Cronin don't play that cute stuff. And he even got too cute. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Hopefully I see Mick soon as well, too. He be at the track. He got horses with my man, Doug O'Neill. So hopefully we'll see him because, when he comes up there, it's always a big moment because he's the UCLA basketball coach. So you know how it goes, Jeff. But let's talk about your Celtics, Jeff. Let's talk about the Celtics. What's going on with your Celtics?
Well, it was funny. The in-game tournament, Pops, and I'm not going to lie to you or your listeners here. I didn't know all the rules. Me in the NBA, it's lost its luster. It has, and I don't buy into the drama and the kids and the style of nowadays game versus when you and I grew up, 80s, 90s, Larry, Magic, Michael, and all that good stuff. But before the game started, now, here's the funny. The Celtics were 13 or 12.5 point favorites to the Bulls 2 nights ago. Well, they had to, once the game started, they knew they had to beat the Bulls, but they were scoreboard watching and seeing what the Nets were doing. So Coach goes up to Billy D and says, hey, you do know we're watching the scoreboard here. And now we have to win by 23. So in the fourth quarter, every time Drummond touched the ball, they hacked to Drummond. They fouled him. Drummond can't make a free throw. And so Billy took it personal. The Celtics were up 30, and they're hacking Drummond as soon as they touched the ball. So it got a little salty. Jaylen Brown comes out. He's upset of the rules. Porzingis is nicked up. Bottom line is they won by more than 23. So now they made the Final 4 or 6 or whatever it is with a chance with a win tomorrow to get to the Final 4, go to Vegas, yada, yada, yada. So they're the best team in the East. They're the favorite to cut the Nets down. I think it'll come to them, the Bucks. Philly without Harden has taken that next step. They'll be hanging around there, and it'll be interesting to see if Miami does anything. They're a full squad, Pops. You got the big 3 right in front of me: Jalen, Porzingis, and Tatum. There. Let me just tell you, the true MVP on this team is Drew Holiday. He adds a dimension that Smart never could. You still got Big Al there. You got guys coming off the bench that are helping. If healthy, Pops. If healthy. I think they are definitely in the championship, Pups.
All right. So what you thinking about the Lake Show right now? Well, let me put my 2 cents on it. Boston did the NBA the best favor ever by actually participating in this in-season tournament. Lakers did as well, too. The Knicks did as well, too. Because that means that you got 3 establishments a part of your play-in situation. 76ers didn't make it, but that's because they wasn't trying that hard. But I felt like Boston and the Lakers and the Knicks were given some type of incentive to really play well because they know that they need these cities to really make this thing go and work. You know what I mean? And pretty much from what I saw, I'm thinking to myself that when it comes down to it, that we do have a situation with Boston where they should be able to win their portion of the play-in tournament. And this, I'm gonna tell you what the NBA wants. This is what they want. This is what they want, Jeff. They want Lakers, Celtics in Vegas, straight up, neutral territory. How can we sell out that stadium? Lakers, Celtics. How can we get the best TV ratings? Lakers, Celtics. I'm telling you right now, those two teams are on a collision course to play each other in the championship game in Vegas. The Lakers got to get past they got to get past Phoenix first, and then they got to get past Sacramento because Sacramento should win that game against New Orleans. And I truly do feel that if the NBA gets their way, it's either going to be LA New York or LA Boston. But really, they want Lakers Celtics because what makes your in-season tournament look better? The two championship rivals, the Lakers and the Celtics. And who's going to bring me some ratings? The Lakers and the Celtics. Not getting any ratings with the Pelicans and the who else is in there? The Hornets or something? Or one of them teams that just has no business being there. But Bucks. Yeah, I think it's the Bucks. If it's the Bucks and the Pelicans, that's going to be a nightmare. That's just going to be a lot. That's just going to be a lot of advertisement. But you get Lakers Celtics. You get everybody talking about it. You get people talking about, I'm flying to Vegas to watch game. So we all will pretty much say this. It got to be Lakers Celtics in the in season to make the in season legit. Because then it does go ahead and it could be a preview for what possibly the finals can be. Because honestly, I was so mad at us last year for getting swept. And then I was so sad for y'all losing in game 7. And I know that if we would have won our series, it would have gave y'all more motivation to win your series. Because you knew, because I'm going to keep it real with everybody. Boston was going to park Denver. Denver's good. They're great. They're nice. They're cute. But they didn't have what Boston has. And Boston was going to humiliate Denver. Because Jokic would have been fouling out. They would have made Jokic play some defense. That's the difference. Miami, they was just, we here and we tired. We proved ourselves. Heat culture. Dude, you were in the way. That's what you were. Because Boston should be talking about their 18th title right now. And the Lakers, that would have motivated the Lakers to go get a better roster. People don't understand the greatest rivalry in pro sports. And there's a reason why it's the greatest rivalry in pro sports. And that's because they bring asses to seats and they bring eyes to TVs. It's that simple. So pretty much, man, had a lot of fun with Jeff, but I know I got to let him go because it's that time. Jeff been looking at me for the last 15 minutes like, bro, I'm doing extras for you. But, technical difficulties, man. But all in all, Jeff, tell them where they can listen to your next shows at and everything like that.
Yeah, we'll be coming on in about 20 minutes, actually maybe 15 minutes at EC Sports Investor. Go over to YouTube to East Coast Sports Investor. Subscribe. It's free. We'll be breaking down the closing bell. We'll be taking today's games, some of the movements, talk a little about there's an NFL game tonight, Dallas and Seattle. Get people set up for Friday and the weekend here. Follow me on EC Sports Investor on Twitter or X. Catch all our shows. Turn the notifications on as you've done with Pops here. Never miss a live show. We average 2 to 3 shows a day. And we're looking for some big things, new exciting details coming up mid-December, hopefully to be launching in the start of our 9th year on January 1st. But Pops, always a pleasure. I got to reach out to you later about Tuesday and the NFL Bet Exchange. Maybe have to tinker a time or two on that one. Might be traveling on Tuesday, but we still got some days to talk about that. So wrap up your show. Thank you so much as always, and keep cashing those tickets. And as you say, keep the feet moving.
It really is keep the move. See, now you got me messing up my own phrases, man. The movement is moving. You know what I mean? So pretty much, yeah, man. Hey, you know what? Before I let Jeff go, Jeff remembers I had merchandise. See, everybody, I got merchandise. I had merchandise 5 years ago, and what you call it? I had a shirt that said "Put your money where your mouth is," and the movement is moving. Both those sayings have become somewhat of language here in the world that we have. But the movement is moving really was funny because it was during the female movement of what they were trying, their empowerment movement. Every woman that would see that shirt, I love that shirt. Like, it's not for you, but okay. All right.
I had to, the reason is, I have shirts, hats, beanies, stockings, you name. I have them 8, 10, 12 years old when we first started. We've been on Twitter since 13, 12, and I launched ECSI in 15, and I always sent out shirts. I always sent out hats. I always sent out gear, and that's all. I never charged anyone, and that's what I always ask people to do is if you're at an event, if you're out walking about, just send us a snapshot, tag us on social media. That's all I asked. And I won't throw out any names here, but there's certain people that are talking about movements. It's not a show, it's a movement. And they got hats, they got beanies, and they got people doing snapshot. Dude, we're about into 2024. I got hats in the closet older than what you guys are doing. So it is what it is. And I guess people that copy us, it's just flattery. That's all. And that's the way we're supposed to take it. And that's the way I'm taking it today. That's all.
Man, you already know, Jeff. And it's a beautiful thing when you can set trends, right?
Yeah. We set trends. We don't follow them, brother.
Right. That's the whole thing. Lead. No following, baby. Just lead. All right. So with that, thank you so much, Jeff, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on my show, my brother. And we'll talk soon. We got more stuff to talk about, too, because there's other things I wanted to talk to you about, too, show-wise and 2024-wise that possibly we can work together on as well, too. So
absolutely.
Everything is usual. And you know what? Before Jeff goes, Jeff is actually going to be in Vegas for the Super Bowl. Hopefully everything works out my way, and I'll be back at the Super Bowl again. And so pretty much we might do the PrimeTime Angles right there in the Radio Row and everything like that. And we might wind up getting ourselves a pretty big name or something like that to join us for that portion as well, too. You never know. So, just be on the lookout for that situation as well, too. And I'm excited for that as well.
100%. I will be next Friday, Radio Row, at Gillette Stadium for the Army-Navy game. We'll be broadcasting live from 11 to 1 on SportsMap Radio, and then we'll also be live Saturday for the show, for the game there. I'm super excited. That's always been on my bucket list, but to be able to be actually at an Army-Navy game and working it, I'll have tears in my eyes. I'll be thinking of you, Pops, because, you've done a lot of big fights. You've been to Radio Row at the Super Bowl, and, listen, we've put the work in, and it's just great to finally see us getting a shot. And, we just keep plugging along. That's all we do, Pops.
Yep. You just got to keep going with the flow, man, and everything will work itself out. So you guys keep tuning into my shows. Y'all keep tuning into Jeff's shows, but I'll be back with y'all in a moment. We got to talk those tickets. So Jeff, he's going on to his situation, and I'm going to keep annoying y'all with mine. So it is what So you guys just stay tuned. We'll be right back. And this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing. With daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash. And move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, here we are. Let's go ahead and get into talking tickets, and we have ourselves some really good tickets to talk about as well too. So pretty much up first, we got the PrimeTime PK6 with Liberty plus 7.5. We got Fordham minus 12.5. We got ECU money line minus 115. Also, we got So Bama plus 125, and we also have the 7.5 for University of Missouri, Kansas City. And then we go ahead and we finish up with UC Riverside plus 18 at UCLA tonight. So this is a 57-1 ticket. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. We move forward from there. All right, we have ourselves the 52-1 super high five tonight. It's going to be the under 220 Blazers Cavs, also the plus 14.5 Pistons. Then we have the Pacers money line plus 115, and then we also have the Hawks minus 7.5. Then we have the over 232 with the Lakers and the Thunder tonight. That's going to be a 52-1 ticket. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it checks out. We move forward from there. Now we finish up with the plus 9.5 Seahawks. Then we also have the over 23.5 with the first half. And then we also have Seahawks money line first quarter, not first half, first quarter plus 90. And then we have the alternate line being 49.5 plus 120 on the over 49.5. So there it is. That's going to be our plays for tonight. And I thank you guys very much for tuning in. You guys are the absolute best. I'll be back tomorrow for our Friday show, talking a whole lot of just talking bets and things like that, talking to some college basketball as well too, talking some boxing because we got boxing coming up this weekend as well too. We got the big Ryan Garcia fight coming up, and there was some drama at the press conference today. So, we'll get into that tomorrow. So pretty much with that, I thank you guys so much. But, as I always say, bet with your head and not with your heart. The movement is moving. And this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles. And I'm your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. And I am good.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.